I survived. I absolutely I can't believe it, man. Now, what a crazy week. I survived. I'm exhausted right now. Shouldn't even be doing anything. So I'm going to enjoy my weekend. Happy 4th of July. Except I actually went to all the trouble to do a chat stream, so why don't we do something with it? What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, coming on here with a chat stream as I try and figure out when I want to do what this weekend with the summer coming up. So far, the way the summer is the pattern that the summer is settling into is that we only have summer on the weekends. The humidity is a thing on the weekends, and then during the week, everything crashes, and we don't need air conditioning type stuff. That's why those power strips are still sitting there on top of the main air conditioner over there, because it hasn't even gone in the window yet this year. So some information for people regarding summertime and how it's going to affect this channel. Previously, I would actually continue doing tech videos in the summertime, and then there'd be the constant drone of the air conditioner going on in the background. Now that I am very well established in terms of being able to stream games and chat streams and other stuff and know my way around OBS with the noise blockers that it has available, I am not going to be doing that this year. We're not going to have an entire section of the year where tech videos have this constant drone in the background of the air conditioner going. Of course, Corel Video Studio does have a way of noise gating the audio, but why should we do that when we can just make things a lot quieter or have less background noise by using the secondary AC? So here's the thing. I mean, I've been doing a lot more running around, a lot more physical stuff with these warehouse folks in this area. So it's not as big of a deal. I was thinking about this, just how much of a big baby I was being about flipping air conditioners in and out of the windows. I mean, I've been dealing with 70-pound furniture and stuff along those lines. 50-pound chairs, 70 to 100-pound desks and other stuff. I've been pushing and pulling stuff that is way heavier than an air conditioner and lifting stuff that is roughly the weight of the air conditioner. So why am I so all boo-hoo-hoo like it's still 2008 and I'm still doing an office job about the idea of something, you know, like putting an air conditioner in the window only when I need it? There's two ACs. That's the main one back there. The main one will go in the window and stay in there for weeks when we actually have real summer and constant heat and humidity like we did last year, where I actually used it more as a dehumidifier than as an actual air conditioner. I needed it to bring the humidity down a lot more than to actually bring down the temperature of the place, because this is Connecticut. We're New England's Florida, essentially. We're less than an hour from the ocean. People in Rhode Island actually have it worse than we do. So there are parts of Massachusetts that you could say were a little more inland if you're away from Boston and the greater Boston area. But for the most part, summertime, we do get some heat, but the bigger thing you're going to run into is humidity, especially when the dew point hits 65 to 70. I would dare say, as a New Englander myself, that the dew point in the summertime is actually more important than the temperature, because I mean, you'd be fine with a little bit of dry heat, 70 something, 80 something degrees, who cares? It's like heat therapy for your back or something like that. But once it gets sweltering on top of that, that's when you start having problems. That's when things get stuffy. That's when it gets tougher to breathe. You know, we do have some problems right now with elevated ozone for people that are sensitive to that kind of stuff. And we have some storms coming through tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm just going to do whatever until the thunderstorms come in, and then we'll do the chores for the week after the storms are over. For now, though, we got to figure out what to do when, as well as how we're going to squeeze in another tech video. I have some more lighting experiments to do to finally finish what I started with that disc lamp that's been sitting back there. I got distracted by the new generation of smart bulbs that now power Geekhouse dark mode, and I'm happy to say I've gotten it dialed in now to the point where it's blue without going too wild here, with blue bulbs that don't look too purple. There's probably a little more purple than there was before, with the generational differences in these are Mercury Innovation smart bulbs. I first bought them when they became affordable to as a discretionary purchase, blah blah blah, in 2018 for the original blue and black attack that we now know as Geekhouse dark mode. But this is so, I mean, now that it's no longer NDA, because I don't have a tech video sitting around waiting to be edited, this is it. This is the new generation of smart bulbs, and this is the Geekhouse dark mode that I fundamentally went with. Now, we know that when we blast these lights way too loud, or way too at 100%, it is way too blue, and we completely get smurfed. And it has some other cool effects too, like anything green or orange is going to light up like it's glow in the dark. And so it's going to also and also with these new bulbs, they are a lot brighter when doing daylight than the old ones were. You just have to say gray as the color instead. So there's a whole bunch of different options available. What you're seeing right now is Geekhouse dark mode. I ditched the whole Geekhouse stream mode thing because it sounds stupid. Geekhouse dark mode has traditionally looked like this, and that's what it's going to be called. The new stuff will have new names. I know, what a concept, right? So here's fundamentally what I went with. Still got to iron out a few things, like the fiber light and the lava lamp when we plug it back in won't turn on with certain commands, but I have to go into the home app on Google and actually punch all of that in, or Google Nest or whatever the heck it is, the app that controls the smart stuff that lets me voice control everything. But let's see here. Switch to Geekhouse light mode. In the beginning, there was yellow tungsten light.
Geekhouse light mode activated.
Thank you.
Just doing my job.
So this is what it would look like with soft white stuff. So light mode, of course, usually light mode for my YouTube videos has meant turning on the dumb lights because they're daylight bulbs, so we can get a neutral white. The problem is the landlord at this place never actually used actual neutral white paint. It's more of an ivory white from the days of incandescent bulbs, because this place was, I think it was last renovated in 2004, so he's been rolling with it ever since. So there was no way that the landlord of this place could have seen what was coming with all the LED lights and stuff that's available. But this is Geekhouse light mode. I have one light over there basically at minimum brightness to serve as kind of like a minimum wattage night light of sorts, so you don't trip over stuff. I mean, that's what night lights were when I was growing up. Little small blue incandescent bulb that barely gave off any light and barely had like a couple of watts, a watt or so to its name. That way you could see a little, not trip over stuff in the dark. And there's plenty of stuff to trip over here in the Geekhouse, with the size and everything being all combined together. Light mode has some options available, though. I can change these as they are, and it looks worse on stream than it does in reality. In real life, it is kind of more of like a tungsten look. It's not as yellow or anything, or in this case, as orange-brown as the cameras make it look. But if you're looking for more earthen type stuff, switch to dim mode.
Got it. Activating the dim mode.
What? Switch to normal mode. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So this end of the world giant fireball over my shoulder thing is actually what it looks like in soft white mode. So this is basically what I used to do for like 2016 or so, is I dim the lights in the front, so that way there wouldn't be these glaring lights off to the side while playing games. And of course I decided to upgrade that a little further and go to dimmer mode. Switch to dimmer mode. And dimmer mode shuts off the front two lights. So now it's just dim, dim that. Switch to dim mode.
Okay, activating the dim mode.
That's wrong. Switch to dim mode.
Okay, activating the dim mode.
That command is broken. Switch to movie mode.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
I deleted that one. Switch to Geekhouse daylight mode. Now, if we get away from all the tungsten and make everything go more neutral white, we get this, which looks terrible on camera.
Geekhouse daylight mode activated.
Thank you.
Just doing my job.
It looks terrible on camera because I'm tuned for everything being blue. But in real life, human eyes see things differently than cameras. This is very close to the light mode videos you might have seen in the late 2010s or so. And this is also the reason why with these lights, you want to be careful of how sensitive your camera is, so you don't look like you're in some weird mist or whatever the heck this is supposed to be. Switch to Geekhouse club mode. Now we go into what I thought dark mode would be. There we go.
Geekhouse Club Mode activated.
Thank you. And here's what we ultimately found out the hard way is too much for the cameras to handle. Way too much blue and stuff like that. It's way better in real life than it is on stream. Way, way better in real life than it's just total blue overload for the camera, though. So it's way better in real life than it is on stream. And you got the glow in the dark effects and stuff. I would use this like around the house if I didn't want, normal lighting. Make it all blue, make certain things stand out. Has a bit of a black light effect with certain colors. Horrible for streaming. Switch to Geekhouse dark mode. And then we get back to this. There we go.
Geekhouse dark mode activated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Except for what's creeping in when it's still daylight whenever I go to stream. So that's fundamentally what I went with, is that there's light mode, dark mode, club mode, daylight mode, and a whole bunch of other modes when I want to use these things in tungsten mode. If I was filming an old-fashioned light mode video, I'd shut all the fancy lights off and just use daylight bulbs. The tops of the lamps are still daylight. The lights in the ceiling are still daylight. So I still have an option of a very neutral white type thing, and I can white balance the cameras to make it look even different, make it look even more neutral. Kind of white balance out the landlord's choice of paint. But that's what I did at my last place. It was painted with more of a soft white, and we saw it yellow over the years, to the point where it started looking weird if we showed blues or something on screen with some of the tech videos back then, because there's so much white balancing fighting against the landlord's choice of paint colors. By the way, this is another reason why you see so many people using fancy lights like this these days, is because this renders the landlord's choice of decor relatively moot in this case. So if the landlord went with the wrong color of paint for the walls and stuff, it doesn't matter when you just turn everything in your background blue. The one thing, though, that this does get you thinking about, though, is the physics of how light works. The reason why I've blasted my TV at maximum brightness is because it shows other wavelengths besides blue and actually can light me up a bit. I can make this effect even better by opening Notepad in a certain part of the screen, then just getting used to the glare, or just make it smaller so it's less of a bright spot. But the bigger it is, the more I start showing up properly, as with white diffuse light coming at me, and then the background stays certain color. You make it too big and you start getting bleeding, which is what I see in a lot of the Harris Heller videos, where the white light is making it too far back and it's turning the blues purple, lighting up on the wall, things along those lines. So it's a balance that needs to be struck somehow. And that's one of the reasons why I've been experimenting with using this disc lamp in order to set myself up to look better like this, because this Geekhouse dark mode thing has not only been a giant tech project, but it's also been a very good refresher of the physics of how light works. Now, I didn't actually take the film class when I was in college. I never for the life of myself imagined myself being any kind of YouTuber or anything. AV geek, yes, but YouTube wasn't a thing yet. So nobody really knew that this type of stuff would happen. So it's been fun playing a little catch up on all these things the film geeks in my college used to make a big deal out of and stuff like that. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. It's been very fun to work with. Sound check. These things, the film geek, good. All right. And so you can see, me turning a little bit more purplish by closing Notepad, that's what the marching orders. I was never in theater either. I was never in the drama groups in any of my schools or anything of that sort. You know what? Why don't we just try it? Oh, so I'm not really used to any kind of stage lights or anything, but hey, part of what you do as a content creator, as an entertainer, is, do stuff like this. I was always the nerd in like the light booth or something like that, with various plays and other stuff along those lines when I was growing up. But I suppose if I could get used to this distraction that's constantly in the corner of my eye now, maybe I could actually have a better looking setup, or I could just close it and just go with the whole up late at night playing video games thing, except for that right there that gives away that it's clearly not. So it's a nerd project. It's a tech project. Geekhouse Dark Mode is exactly the sort of thing that has taught me a lot about presentation-y type stuff that I would have never gotten in the AV office back in the day, because none of this was a thing. None of this was a thing. It wasn't even anywhere close to a thing. So Geekhouse Dark Mode is tech videos. That's why I have the title. We're going to talk about some tech video related stuff later on. For now, though, Geekhouse dark mode is tech videos. I just can't emphasize this anymore. Look, the channel's called MultimediaJay. And it's been that way for over 15 years now. Of course, I'm going to not tinker with computers all the time. That's why it is quite a punch in the gut for me to see this. Geekhouse dark mode, the next generation. We just got done talking about how Geekhouse dark mode is a tech project. Geekhouse dark mode is tech videos, 40 views. Which is bizarre considering what it is. 40 views. Are you kidding me? Go back to the previous video because we got to sift through all the streams and other stuff. Moving on from Duh E-Machine. Did this really only get 92 views because it references Duh E-Machine? It's literally called Moving On from Duh E-Machine. This thumbnail is from the beginning of the video, which is where it starts when we say, yeah, the E-Machine was fun to play around with and stuff like that. This thumbnail was fun. And then the mouse over preview is me opening ring lights. Look. Did this really only get views because it mentioned that E-Machine? This is what I mean when I talk about the negative effects of tech videos. I just don't understand people that are so insanely narrow with their interest in technology that they mass abandon me when I stick with technology, but not the itty-bitty tiny niche of technology that they're looking for. It's just like, that's not even rational. That's not even reasonable. It's insane. And yet I see this behavior across YouTube. I go to various channels. I see tech video people putting up the same stuff. I see tech videos in general in a rut right now because people are mad about stuff they can't buy. Okay, so you completely write off the genre and you stop supporting YouTubers that you've been supporting for years because of something beyond their control? Are you kidding me? What is wrong with you? Look in the mirror and take a good hard look at what kind of person you are and how you treat others. Paul's Hardware is not the reason why things cost 1.5 times what they did 2 years ago. Linus Tech Tips is not the reason why things cost more than they did a couple of years ago. Austin Evans is not one of the reasons why. Marcus Brownlee is not one of the reasons why. Greenham Gaming is not one of the reasons why. Draga One is not one of the reasons why. None of us are the reason why the industry is in the messy state that it's in right now. None of us. And yet we're somehow responsible via the lack of engagement because people are angry about stuff they can't buy. Completely insane. Did you even think about this before you started acting like this? This is nuts. I just don't... Look, why do I even do anything with technology anymore? Why? People are completely off their rocker with this stuff. What is the problem here? Seriously. You love technology, but heaven help you if you bring that love to YouTube, because you're going to find out very quickly how bizarre people get when it comes to computers, of all things. Yeah, it's like, what? Are there really that many people out there who are so stuck in the past that they don't realize that computers are everywhere? It's not just the little tower on your desk. It's the little book size thing that you can carry with you that weighs like a pound or two and gives you basic desktop stuff. It's this promising nettop technology that makes you imagine John Lennon style, an era where you will be able to do 1080-60 gaming with a thing about as heavy as a DVD box set. Something about this heavy someday is going to get you 1080p 60 gaming, and it's going to look pretty good, especially with 4K hitting the limits of human vision in terms of, is the ability to show more fine detail worth it unless you have a very, very large screen? It's ridiculous. What happened to tech on here? Well, what happened to people? What happened to people understanding that YouTube in its formative years was a form of social media, and there is still a form of social stuff going on with YouTube? You, I hope, are a real person and not some robot somewhere that's botting me for views or to tell me about your latest I love you hot cam girls, click this link that's going to get auto filtered by YouTube's new systems that a lot of people don't use, and then claim YouTube has a spam problem, even though because they're so lazy, they can't even take the initiative to use the tools YouTube gives them and then just turn on false positives every so often by reviewing what's in the held for review list and making sure it's not all spam. Like what happened with Logan in the links. You know, supposedly I saw that got flagged and I was like, nope. And there you go. Now, anybody who's a decent human being out there, this should not be the hardest thing in the world for them to do. So it's like, now, okay, yeah, but my channel's so big, it has like tens of thousands of views per video. Okay, things are bigger, figure it out. But don't snub your audience just because you've been successful on YouTube. Isn't that kind of the thing that you don't want to do as a YouTuber? Your video gets past a certain milestone, you get the silver play button or whatever, you know, your channel gets a silver play button. Do you stop being a real decent approachable person and start resembling some wacko Hollywood celebrity just because of your own success? Does it need to be that way? Or can we all just acknowledge that we're human beings underneath all the veneers that we put on ourselves? This is like, why? Why does it have to be this way? Why is it the case? Why is the case that tech videos of all things need to be such a problem? And I can tell you what part of the reason is. Part of the reason is that YouTube continues to be such a problem. YouTube, you've been around for over 15 years now. You're the second largest social media platform in the world, and you are still a platform where you either bring an audience with you or you sit around waiting to go viral or you know somebody. People are way too dependent upon luck to get anywhere on this platform and stay anywhere on this platform in this wonderful day and age where YouTube's algorithms will audit your engagement to make sure it's real and then unsubscribe people from your channel or something like that. It's like some technical glitch can consider you not a real subscriber or whatever, or your view not a real view or whatever. So, you know, yeah, can you imagine that, you know, a wonderful world of the YouTube of the 2020s where you're trying to make videos and feel like you're not wasting your time, and then people accuse you of wanting to make money, of wanting to just take the money because you turn on the ad revenue, when in reality, a minimum wage part-time job would be a better use of your time if that really was your goal. Go work at Subway a few hours a day or something like that. It's like, this, how much of a problem do we really have with people getting mad at stupid stuff? I'm dealing with this in the offline world right now. I'm dealing with some hotheads who are getting mad at such stupid stuff. And you know what? If they want to be mad all the time, as long as they don't like have an outburst and hurt someone or something, which hopefully that doesn't happen, you know, it's their health that's going to be affected. It's their cortisol. It's their cardiovascular system. They're only gonna do bad things to themselves for the most part. But it's just all preventable and avoidable by not getting upset at stuff that's just happening anyways. Hanlon's razor. Don't assume malice from people unless you have some solid evidence that there's something like that going on. Why? Why does it have to be this way? Why? You know, Jay, you're squandering a perfectly good opportunity. You know, Jay, you're squandering a perfectly good opportunity to do something besides a chat stream in U.S. primetime in the evening on a Friday, on the one day you just admitted that is going to be the only real good day to stream because the thunderstorm's coming through tomorrow. I suppose. But the thing here is that the whole point of this is that Geekhouse Dark Mode is a form of tech videos, and some of the stuff that's in my tech videos is going to be stuff that doesn't involve computers. Why is this such a huge problem for so many people? Because you know what? Some of you folks who follow me on Instagram, and I get to see pictures of you as a result, and then I'm like, oh yeah, maybe they really are somebody who literally only has one interest in the world, and that is tower computers of all things. And I'm going to say tower computers because, look, you know, is it a computer? that's processing in the cloud, that's processing all these voice commands for these smart lights? Is it a computer that televisions of all things have apps on them, and some of them even run Android? Is it a computer that little phone in your pocket has the specs of a desktop computer from 20 years ago, but uses far less power, but you could hook up a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and project to a screen, cast to a screen or whatever, and use it as like da-da-da? No, how about keyboard and mouse into your Xbox? Maybe you have an old Xbox One that's been sitting around or whatnot that takes keyboard and mouse over Bluetooth or wired or whatever, and you could use it as a web browser or whatever. If only Microsoft would stop synthetically treating Xboxes like they're not computers. I wonder how many people would use an Xbox for like email and stuff like that. You know, maybe there is apps available that let you do that right now, but maybe it'd be not. What about, you know, an Xbox running Windows 10 or Windows 11? You know, the Xbox dashboard, of all things, it had some ties design-wise to Windows 10. I think at one point there's like some really crude underworkings of the Xbox operating system that actually was Windows 10 based. So there's certainly visual similarities. You open up like the Xbox Live on PC and stuff like that, and you see that. It's just like, you know, you open up Xbox Live on PC and stuff along those lines, you see that too. And it's like, no, I think that's part of the problem. I think that's something we really need to take a very serious look at, is people that just don't want to acknowledge that. I believe it was Steve Ballmer that talked about this when nearly 20 years ago, there was talk about whether mobile devices like the original iPad were going to serve as the death bell for computers, for desktops. And shoot, man, it was decades ago at this point that I had, it was decades ago at this point that I had the infamous argument with my uncle, who was trying to convince me that desktops weren't worth it anymore and that laptops were the way. I'm like, all you're doing with your laptop is making it portable, changing the form factor, and limiting your upgrade options. It's like, isn't that really what the problem is here with people who don't care about my other tech projects that don't involve computers, and other people too? I mean, it's just, look, there's been YouTube channels on here that have made way more radical changes than going from computers to smart bulbs. And it's just like, you want to accuse me of flipping the script and not giving you people what you subscribed for? Ask yourself what your ask yourself, how ridiculous are your demands? No. How ridiculous are your demands? Those of you that want tech to be literally nothing but toying with the same old computers over and over and over again. What is a computer? You do realize, don't you, that the majority of the traffic on YouTube nowadays is coming from mobile devices. Are those computers? I have a project in mind that's been on the to-do list for one of the things, indigestion. One of the things that's been on the to-do list for way too long. And that involves 2 smartphones, making one functional smartphone out of 2 of them that are broken in their own way. Is that going to get any views? Because it's not a real computer, even though it has a processor, it has RAM, it has storage, it has graphics, it has ability to hook up peripherals. Really, people? Are we going to get this ridiculous? And only like a Pentium Pro from 1995 is worth making videos about? It's like, really? Get your heads out of your asses. Computers are everywhere. Welcome to the computer age. We computer nerds, we won. It's over. There's so many things that double as computers these days. Your phone doubles as a computer. Your so-called portable gaming devices can double as computers. I saw something on Twitter today of someone putting Windows 3.1 on a Nintendo DS. Congratulations. That's a computer. The smart devices are computers. Your routers are computers. Very low spec, very low power, running Linux, routing your network packets. Those are computers now. So many things are computers. And yet so many people are so stuck in the past, so narrow-minded, so one-dimensional and flat-out boring as nerds. So insanely obsessed with their such narrow laser focus on a teeny tiny part. I mean, do this with your hands and try to look through the middle, that's basically what technology looks like to these people. This little sliver in the middle of just this teeny tiny thing, and nothing else matters. Sorry, there are numerous people in technology that will very, 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 very sharply disagree with you on that one. Oh my goodness, folks, come on. Yeah. Why did we get this way? Why did we get this way? Why are we obsessed with trees and not seeing any forest? This is like, why? Seriously. And it really makes me wonder what the hell I should even do on YouTube anymore with these tech videos, because it's very, very predictable, as was the case with Geekhouse Dark. It's called Geekhouse Dark Mode. Nerd, 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 nerd. There's obviously plenty of nerd stuff in there. It just doesn't involve me tinkering with the same old, tired, obsolete computer over and over. And I got news for you people. Technology is about new stuff. It's about making the best use of what current stuff you have. I dare say, if you want to see me tinker with an obsolete, useless computer like the E-Machine nonstop, never-ending, incessantly, you're not really into technology. You're an antiques person. Seriously, you're admit it. You are not a techie. You're an antique collector. What are antiques? Yeah, what makes something an antique? That it's like 30 years old? 2012, 2002, 1992. You get like a 486 working. That's an antique. You're into antique collecting. You're not really into tech. You're pretending nothing else exists except desktops. You're not really into technology. You're not thinking about whether laptops have gotten enough integrated graphics to function as console killers. You're not really into technology. You're not excited about mobile being only held back by stupid microtransactions in the industry as a gaming platform to take seriously with today's hardware that gives you an Xbox 360 experience that fits in your pocket. You're not really into technology. Stop pretending. You should be excited when people break out of the computer shell. You should be excited when something gets your gears turning as to, wait, what could that really be used for that comes out? That's what happened with the Macintosh. Steve Jobs visits a Xerox research facility, sees a technology that Xerox didn't. He saw potential in GUI graphical computing that the folks at Xerox weren't seeing. Did something like that with computers. We have mice and graphical computing instead of command lines everywhere we have him to thank for that. Smartphones, they existed before the iPhone. They were Blackberries and Motorola Razors with the pop-out keyboards, phones that did more than just make calls. They had cameras, they had apps, they had operating systems. They were a thing before the iPhone. But touchscreens in the 2000s were resistive. You had to actually press down on them and push two things together to get them to still work. It wasn't as foolproof. It wasn't as good at tracking. It wasn't as good at handwriting recognition as what would happen when capacitive touchscreens came out. That's it. It's like smartphones could have been a thing earlier if the technology was there, but it wasn't. Double it up. No, double it up. Think about it. Reflect on yourself, folks. Are you really into technology? Or are you an antique person? Are you really a techie? Because you know what? I've seen people working in IT positions who are just as closed-minded. One of the many, many IT interviews that I got blown off on and didn't get the job, and then people wonder why I work in warehouses, was the infamous one 10 years ago now. Want to talk about not forward thinking? 10 years ago, I had that fateful interview where I went for an IT position, those things that people say I should be going for, but I never ever get, despite my love for technology and, reading about things like security and, costs and everything involved in running the equipment, I went to that fateful interview. with the IT manager of all people, someone who the company had already entrusted with managing their technology, sitting there in a Hawaiian shirt with his feet on the desk, accusing me of having no direction in life because of warehousing, when I was using warehousing to get through the Great Recession and all of its no jobs side effects at the time. And he laughed at this idea that a smartphone could serve as a desktop with the right docking station that I was talking about at the time, because that's all I knew was laptops and docking stations. Bluetooth hadn't yet matured to what it is today. Casting wirelessly over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth had not matured to what it is today. USB 3 was barely a thing. The idea of USB replacing internal buses in a computer was barely a thing. This tech manager, with his feet on the desk and his smug attitude and his Hawaiian shirt, guffawed at me for even imagining something like that. Today, we have cloud services, we have Google Apps, we have Google Docs, we have Google Sheets, we have the Google Office suite, which challenges Microsoft Office in some areas. We have cases for your tablet that give it a keyboard and turn it into a laptop, or put your phone in there and just have a little really small screen. We have phablets, phones that are like 6 inches with screens now. So, there are options. You can have a keyboard and mouse in an Android environment. You can use a phone as your computer. There are some parts of the world with less money and less broadband, only wireless for the most part, where many people's main computing experience is a phone. And we have a generation, the Zoomers, that was brought up with smartphones. They may actually be better with phones than they are with computers. And I've already met a few Zoomers, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, coming through the 9-to-5ers, working there a bit for a couple of checks, who hate computers but love their phone. Well, computers in the sense of desktops, keyboard, mouse, da-da-da. It's a generational thing now. And why wouldn't it be? Touchscreens can be more intuitive than keyboard mouse. Keyboard mouse was more intuitive than memorizing a bazillion commands at DOS prompts. Now, touchscreens are more intuitive than keyboards and mice. Unless you want to keep your screen nice and clean, then you use a mouse. Or, hey, grab an Xbox controller. Depending on your setup, there's ways to use the thumbsticks on your Xbox controller to move your mouse pointer around. It's technology. It's technology. And when people make videos tinkering with stuff like this, those are tech videos. What's it going to take for people to get the message? What's it going to take for people to realize that the longer that they sit singularly obsessed with antique computers, that they're slipping further and further away from being into technology and becoming more of a retro antiques person? They're becoming more like the people that find, like, I've been seeing a lot of videos on this on YouTube lately. People who find like an old rusted out car in the woods and they try and get it running again. Like something from the 1910s or the 1920s or the 1940s. This car sat for 35 years. Will it run again? They're becoming more like those people. They're just doing it with computers. You're so smug. You're such an ass. I should be. Oh, really? Yeah, I probably should be, given how people are these days. It's insane, you know? Self-styled tech nerds can mass abandon you and completely vanish because you went from tinkering with a useless desktop computer, which is what the e-machine is, to smart lights, which is something which is very, very current and useful. Who's the techie here? It's insane. What happened on here? Then I go to like other stuff too. I am an ass sometimes is fine. Yeah, please show that. Thanks, YouTube Automod. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah. And did anything else get caught by YouTube's auto mod? Robots. Better the robot be too sensitive than not sensitive enough. I don't want to see any spam in here. But it's just... No, seriously. That's the thing. That's why, that's why I gave it a community post and stuff. And I've gotten community posts disliked before because don't do that, whatever. I like it. Look, folks, it's time to wake up. It's time to crawl out of your intellectual basement. It's like, technology is an amazing thing. And if you only appreciate desktop computers and whatnot, look, the reason why desktops are great is because they're easy to service. They're easy to upgrade. They're very standardized. It's one of the reasons why the industry hates them so much. So many attempts by OEMs and companies out there to get back to their glory days when computers were sold like major appliances and you had to keep going back to the company for all the service and support. Yeah. It's just like, they have their place, but it's not the only thing that's out there. You have to be open-minded to things, especially with what's going on right now. I only paid 500 something for Monolith. I brought a few parts with me, like the graphics card. And, no, actually, I bought the GTX 10. But the 500 mark is very easy to hit these days with a high-end processor and motherboard alone. Never mind the case. So I hear all this, the graphics cards are crashing in price. Okay, yeah, cool. What about the rest of it? What about the $200 Fractal Design Define 7 XLs? I've wanted one of those cases for a long time, but I really don't think a Fractal Design Define XL is like a Leon Lee or something. Plus, I did the measurements and stuff. It would interfere with the boom arm for my streaming mic if I did that. So it looks like I'm going to buy another Define R5, despite having been over 5 years, if I go to build another system. See, the reason why I'm thinking about all this computer stuff, at least now, not just because of the problems on YouTube with both people being weird and the algorithms being incompetent. YouTube is still a platform where you sit around waiting to get lucky. And then you have the people like this guy that just stopped by. Then you have the people that literally have zero interest in what's going on, unless you're a constant question and answer thing, like, Wikipedia doesn't exist, hardware comparison sites don't exist, etc., or there aren't a bazillion YouTube videos already answering your question, or is the algorithm so terrible that you can't find it? So I can tell you that using searches on YouTube these days it's stupid. They're limited as hell these days. You get like a few mouse scrolls of results, and then it's back to the algorithm trying to Instagram you into watching something that it thinks that you want to see. It's like, no, if I go searching for what's the best graphics card in a Sandy Bridge PC, I want to be able to see every single result as far as I can scroll, not just, well, YouTube's going to cut me off if I scroll too long without watching something, and then I'll never see anybody else's videos on the matter. Well, small YouTubers, it's over. It's why we have weird stuff like what I went through with this retro tech guy on Twitter, where Twitter's algorithms introduced me to a new YouTuber to watch, not YouTube itself. Yeah, let's open that up here. What's the guy's name? We're gonna put his channel on. We're gonna put his channel on screen here because he basically has a Delosaurus video on his hands. He just doesn't. He just decided to make a Twitter thread out of everything. Retro Tech Chris, sub to this guy, and let me zoom it way the heck in. Let's zoom it so we get the side panels off. And actually, let's put this in Firefox so it shows up along with some of the other stuff here. What do I got here? Let's see. And this is something that tech video people have been lamenting with all kinds of other stuff like this. I'm not signed in on Twitter. Nope. Not signed in on Twitter on there. We'll just switch it over to Chrome. Browser mode set it to Chrome. Tell me if this isn't a tech video waiting to happen, and it may even be one that the people that only care about computers might actually like. Today, I'm going to find out how bad of an idea it is to install Windows XP on a dual Pentium Pro system. I also need to test away the 72-pin Sims. Setup has been running for a while, lots of components to register. First boot, so far so good. Need to fix the mouse. Da-da-da. Now safe turn off your computer. Da-da-da-da-da. Computer might be at risk. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, it's not ACPI compliant. This is a tech video. He just took screenshots and put it on Twitter. What? He just took screenshots. He should have put it on Twitter. He just put it on Twitter. Like, literally, this is a Twitter thread for this guy. Let me go to RetroTech Chris's site here. Even the name has the same naming convention. So, MultimediaJay, RetroTech Chris, already subscribed to him. I'm not signed in on YouTube on this other browser, so we're going to switch it back over here. And let's get off of my channel and just go to his. And let's mute it, too, in case something auto-plays music or something. Something, no, it didn't. Okay. Let's see here. RetroTech Chris, browser mode. Didn't take it automatically. At least it's sticking by the brand name of the browser. With this kind of thing here. There is RetroTech Chris, Sept Handy, RetroTour, Tandy, HX, Personal Hardware, Software Tour, etc. So similar names. They've got thumbnails, but there's a lot of problems with doing thumbnails the way he does. You'll find out that language becomes an issue if you have too much English text in your thumbnails. Someone who's ESL is going to take longer to read your thumbnail and what I actually might get in the way of seeing what the video is about, as opposed to translating what you're saying after the video launches or watching it with subtitles and stuff. But I mean, it looks like he started his channel in 2020, and he's got basically very, very SOP tech videos going here. Let's see here. 3-digit views to like 4-digit views or something along those lines. But that's because he follows the SOPs than anything else. I'd rather take your judgment over others, says Steve. Look, I haven't run that Sandy Bridge system in probably months at this point. Probably should sometime soon, just to make sure it actually gets powered up and stuff like that. But I don't concern myself too much with that sort of thing, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm only using the cards that I have. I'm not going out of my way to buy stuff. You know, I'm not receiving test samples, and I'm not testing that stuff out. That's more the sort of thing the Toasty Brothers are doing. But that's more the sort of thing the Toasty Brothers are doing. But fundamentally, I'm just using my own stuff here. But here we are with this Packard Bell Multimedia D142, Panasonic dot matrix printer, testing, compare. Looks like he's doing like unboxings and some other stuff. He also does a mixture of streams as well. So I'm guessing he's kind of like the tech deals guy with his stream setup. Probably has a desk cam and some of the other stuff. This is probably the way people wish that I would run my channel. So, and you could see more numbers with less subscribers and less time as a result of all this. But the truth of the matter is, it's not necessarily your content that makes it successful in a setup like this. It's the fact that you're stylistically similar to everybody else who's making tech videos of this style. You know, I talk about Linus Tech Tips and his impact on the tech video scene, and I don't consider it to be anything good, because you have videos that have basically trained the algorithm so that certain people get views and certain people don't. It's just I like to refer to tech videos as Linus videos or non-Linus videos. You know the style by now, right? It's the style that Linus Tech Tips popularized, and how other people do it. Folks like Austin Evans, Marcus Brownlee, etc., as well as the whole generic chat video type thing, where it just seems like all YouTube videos that get lots of views, at least in a certain genre, are all incredibly similar to each other. Well, the question is, you do this with tech videos, now you can pretty much be swapped out for literally anybody else. So, because so many people have caught on to the pattern, and they're doing it to try and ride the coattails of already successful people like Linus. And so now you have an entire chunk of the tech video scene that is basically Linus videos. People in some way, shape, or form who are in some way copying Linus's style. But what about the rest of us who don't? What about people who do like what I do, or people that tell ongoing stories? I mean, occasionally you get a Greenham Gaming where people recognize the difference with his narrative-driven videos about tinkering with computers and telling an ongoing story of sorts. But other than a few channels here and there, other than the channels that I get compared to, like Druaga and Greenham, where do you see that? Because it's going to look relatively different for everybody. It's going to look relatively different for the people that do that, because people live in different places. They have different setups. They have different computers to tinker with. It's more of an ongoing story. It's closer to vlogs with computers than it is with what passes for tech videos these days. Since it's kind of weird, really. Here's another, let's see, Retro Tech Chris. Let's see, got a live stream testing some answer. I saw something where he was putting a compact flash card within it. Oh, there it is. Doubling the speed of an XTSF card when paired with an NEC V20 CPU. It looked like the thing that Draga did to run Windows 2000 on an SD card way back in the day. But the thing is, though, he's doing what I would do in my videos on Twitter and not actually making a video about it. Why? Because it would be too different from these tech videos that are basically Linus videos, you know, with the general setup and stuff. So he's stylistically similar enough to many other tech video people, so the algorithm knows what to do with them. Really? That's what sucks. That's what sucks about this algorithm-driven YouTube and, to a lesser extent, Twitch, is that you now have this pressure on you as a content creator to not really express yourself. Just, you know, in some way resemble somebody else so the computers know what to do with you. I'm going to watch some more of this guy's videos later tonight just to see, but so far what I've seen is unboxings, you know, the kind of editing and narration that you would expect from a Linus video, essentially. And so there's probably similarities to where he's getting views specifically because of that, because, well, algorithms are stupid. Now, they're basically pattern machines. What would need to happen is there would need to be a whole bunch of people with stylistically similar videos to what I do before this would apply to me. The problem is that's never going to happen, because if you do what I do, you're going to look different than a lot of other people. You know, the whole dark mode thing where I'm still trying to figure out the lights because I don't want to have like plain lighting in here because I'm a multimedia nerd, and audio visual stuff should be like coming out of the corners and the walls and stuff along those lines. Yeah. It's, no. Hey, why don't we check this? Let me see the subscriber count here. Did we just, let's see. Dashboard, 3819, right? Hey, what do you know? So predictable. So predictable. It's just people these days, you know? What happened? You used to be able to just watch YouTube videos and enjoy them. You used to be able to find people pretty easily. You used to be able to get discovered pretty easily. And today we have just a mess on our hands. So yeah, 3819. I predicted 3819. Yeah, yep, nope. I'm not grinding my channel to a halt to make a video and buy stuff I can't afford because everything costs too much now just to answer a question like that. No, I don't have an answer to the questions. I don't have an answer to the questions on this. And that's the thing. This is what people do. They try to back people into corners so they can say that they're terrible people or whatever it is. It's kind of like the people that said I couldn't take professional advice when they tried a couple of years ago. There's a guy that came by, started picking a big argument and stuff, and they said, oh, I was social media for a hip-hop artist for years. Guess you can't take good advice. Good luck. Bye. They blew me off afterwards. So you wanted to argue like a second ago, and now suddenly ghosted. What a joke. Like, if you were so incredible at SEO and stuff for hip hop artists, why didn't you stay in the industry? I question the guy's story to this day. But yeah, Linus videos. Linus has carved out a name for himself, but he's unfortunately caused a lot of damage. Many years ago, when I first started hearing about his videos, it was about the Noctua fanboys, people that would make a big deal out of you if you used literally anything besides Noctuas. I use Fractal Venturis in my main system, 140 millimeter, same ones in the Venturi highway video. They still work. Discussion over. What am I running right now? I don't have core temp on this logon. Either way, never had an overheating issue with this thing, and I have manual fan control, so I can lock the speeds of everything. Turn it up if I need it, but for the most part, in the summer, I just turn everything up, and in the winter, I turn everything down. So I'm usually running fans and air conditioners in the summer, so I can't hear the computer over those anyways. But But I don't have noise issues with my systems or my main system. If anything, if the fans spin up, it's a low hum and stuff like that. But even with manual control, I don't have issues like that. So yeah, I do have some Noctua Redux fans that I picked up. Haha. Could upgrade the main ones in the system if I really wanted to. 140 millimeters only available with Noctua Redux in static pressure fans, though. So it's the sort of thing with that. But nowadays, though, you have this. You have this going on where you have to make a certain kind of tech video or you don't get any views because the algorithms have been trained to handle Linus videos. Or you have to wonder, like I've seen many tech video people wondering on Twitter, or you have to wonder if the only thing people care about is whether you answer questions or not. Quite frankly, people just trying to talk about what's on their mind, it is completely unreasonable to expect them to grind a live stream of all things to a halt. That's not even a Q&A stream, to give an answer that I can't even give because I don't even tinker with that kind of stuff. It's just, what happened? I have half a mind to walk away from all of this and just never give off any signs of knowing anything about computers ever again. But that wouldn't be any fun now, would it? Now let's get to the biggest head scratcher of them all as we approach the hour mark here. And that is the fact that it's 2022. This year, specifically in November, is 20 years since I first built the Silver Bullet. I've been very seriously thinking about what I want to do for that. The problem is, light mode. Newegg dark mode, please. So, let's see here. I don't really need to build a new system this year. But it's 20 years since building the original. And this is where I get furious at what things have sunk to. Because, let me look at components here. CPU's probably, let's just start filling a cart. The CPU I want to use, and this is gonna tick off some people that watch some more of these YouTube channels that are doing the same old videos over and over again. The CPU that I want to use if I built a system this year is the AMD Ryzen 5700X. Yes, the panned one. The one that is absolutely panned. And yet it's the oh yeah, the reviewers hated this thing. But it was the #1 reviewed processor. It's the #1 purchased processor on Newegg right now. #1 bestseller in, what is it? In all of desktop processing. The people have spoken. Look at this dreck. Browser mode. What am I linked to? No, I'm linked to Firefox. Look at this dreck. Newegg, dark mode. Newegg, dark mode. #1 bestseller in processors, desktops. The AMD Ryzen 7 5700X. The one the reviewers hated. It's not worth it. It's too little, too late. It's not worth it. It's totally not worth it, they said. And yet it's the #1 desktop processor selling on Newegg right now. The 5700X, the 65 watt, basically 5800X, the more power efficient answer to that. #1 bestseller on Newegg in processors, desktops. The Ryzen 7 5700X. Take that, YouTubers. Big tech YouTubers making your Linus videos that get millions of views, telling people that this thing sucked. Oh my goodness. Take that. Booyah. #1 bestseller. Zoom way the hell in on that. I guess we can't. Hold on. Tap the middle button, scroll over, get way the heck in on it. The Ryzen, better yet, leave that on screen. The Ryzen 7 5700X. Scroll up a little more. Get them both on the screen by any means necessary. Gimme. Get them both on the screen by any means necessary. AMD Ryzen 7 5700X. #1 bestseller in processors desktop. I'm just going to leave this here. Sorry. The processor that the big YouTubers panned the living hell out of. It's too little too late. AMD wasted everybody's time by releasing this. Well, it's on sale $272 now. So down, I paid $300 for my i7 6700K years ago. Just got to find a motherboard for it. Look at that. Ryzen 7 5700X. #1 selling desktop processor on Newegg. Game over. And you know why this happens, right? I hope you do anyways. It's because people are smarter than the talking heads that are trying to get clicks on social media. So if people are smarter than what's trendy or popular, or, you know, what kind of popular non-wisdom floats around, what kind of lemming advice floats around that ultimately causes problems for people. Like, wow, you sound so vengeful. Oh, I definitely should be. Look, look down to $272 for a 5700X. This is my processor right here. I'm the one who actually thought this processor deserved a chance. There we go. That fits way better. Let's leave it there. Look at this. Leave it large print on the screen for the duration of this discussion. This is nuts. Nuts. Completely nuts. Now, I just got to find a matching motherboard and start planning it out, but everything's more expensive than it should be. I'd like to build a new system to commemorate 20 years of building my own. Why would you do it with this generation's hardware? Why wouldn't you wait for the Ryzen 7 7000? It's going to be so much better. Build a system with that. Build a system with DDR5. Because my current system is from the middle of the last decade, and I don't feel like paying inflation plus the cost of R&D because there's so much effing price skimming in technology. Thank you very much. Hope that didn't get distorted to death. Did it? There's so much effing price skimming in technology. Thank you very much. Rip headphone users, but then again, so am I. Technology, when it's new, what happens? It costs more. What else is happening? Windows 11 with its TPM requirements. Now, I could use a hack job solution like so many tech people on YouTube and the talking heads and the people with the Linus videos and all that lovely stuff. I could do exactly what people want me to do with this. I could do exactly what people want me to do with this. But I know how this works. The new stuff that comes out is going to be more expensive. Just like DDR5 is, even without the shortages, DDR5 would be more expensive. It's the new stuff. It hasn't recouped its R&D costs. It's called price skimming for a reason. However, with Windows 11, yes, there's a way to run pre-compatible machines. But I'll bet you Microsoft will fight against that tooth and nail, and you'll basically have the equivalent of a Hackintosh scene on your hands with Windows 10 era machines running Windows 11. What happens with Hackintoshes? They work one update, they don't work the next. It's a never-ending war with Apple to keep Hackintoshes working. I don't want that with my main system or any system I use as a daily driver. Little experiments here and there. Yes. Can, this old Sandy Bridge still play games in 2027? Yes. But not this. Not main system stuff. So, I'm going to need a backup if something happens to my main system that's Windows 11 compatible. That's what this Ryzen 7 5700X will ultimately turn into. When the inflation cools off, and it does. Now, what we're seeing right now is a 40-year high, so it's obviously gone lower before. When the inflation cools off, if we get our supply chains more robust to where we're not having these shortages every so often, you know, if the pandemic recedes and people take seriously that we actually should fight the virus until it's beaten to a pulp instead of letting it rip and just setting people up for mass infection because of short-sighted policies that encourage short-term profits over the long-term health of the economy, all that lovely stuff. If we can get our stuff together, then maybe I might go to another system and have a handy backup ready. If there is that much of a night and day performance jump from the 5700X to that. Right now, the 5700X is enough of a performance jump to make it interesting, as well as the 65-watt TDP. Probably wouldn't overclock that until maybe later into its life. I've already had bad experiences with overclocking destabilizing systems. I would much rather have systems that were far more corporate in their design, designed for total cost of ownership. Good performance, but not at the cost of efficiency. Good performance, but not, benchmark is the only thing that matters. Good performance, but TCO. The move from the 1090T to an i7 6700K, despite yearly annual inflation before this round, of course, that move introduced me to, for the first time ever, the sub $100 electrical bill from my heavy computer use. Because Monolith, as it is, it still has mechanical drive, so it's gimped in this area. Monolith ratchets down its wattage like I wanted it to, and as I saw from the Intels of the 2010s, whereas the AMDs were way more power inefficient because AMD in the pre-Ryzen era was scrambling hard to make something competitive with Intel, and if they couldn't get everything, they at least got somewhat in performance. Like the infamous early 2010s combination of 8350 Sabertooth, the AMD FX 8350 combined with, was it Asus Sabertooth motherboard? The infamous 8350 Sabertooth. So they couldn't get they couldn't get everything because they didn't have the technology. Now it's Intel that's technologically challenged and having to resort to gimmicks like the smartphone style processors on older silicon technology. Or, gimmicks like having to call it like the Intel 7 because it's not 7 nanometer, but they think it's the equivalent of one, just like AMD numbering their processors in the early 2000s to approximate the performance of an Intel CPU. Gimmicks. We're back where we started with this crap. But this time it's Intel's turn. And there have been times when AMD has been downright lazy and released products that were a waste of money. The 5700X is not one of them. Anybody who thinks about everything right now, not just raw performance, is going to see this, especially when it goes on clearance before the new stuff comes out later in the year. Everybody who thinks about everything related to the way the way their computers work is going to be more interested in this. Especially if you're like me, you're a couple of years behind anyways. Even this is an improvement. Let me actually look that up. 5700X versus 6700K. It's probably not that exciting. But there's an efficiency improvement as well, going from a 90-watt TDP down to a 65. Which is more of what I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, there's a bit of an improvement. About 20, just shy of 20% from the 6700. Can we flag that? Dark mode doesn't work. The dark mode thing doesn't work as well on this, so oh well. See here. 19% effective speed. 82, 86, 69 versus 98, 100, 100. And the more cores you get involved, the better things get. Well, software has changed a lot. Software has changed a lot in order to be more scalable with cores. So what do we have with this one again? Like, was it 816? 4 cores, 8 threads. I think this was like an 816 or something like that. It was the Ryzen 5s that had weird stuff going on. Yeah, but there we go. Let's put the booyah back on the screen here. People understood, and it's the #1 best-selling desktop processor because it's priced pretty well. If you're coming over from something that's too old to run Windows 11, look at this. Now I just got to find a motherboard that doesn't have a bazillion features I don't need. That's going to be tough. You know, one of the things I hate the most about PC building these days is just how stupid it has gotten. The minute you can say something's for gamers, it's an automatic excuse to throw in stuff that practical people like myself don't really need or want, and then jack the price. LED lighting, extra power draw, you know, a Wi-Fi antenna when you could just buy a wireless dongle and plug it in yourself. But now it's going to be part of the motherboard. Put a big antenna on the back of your PC for LAN parties. Yeah, because you go to a LAN party. It's called a LAN party. LAN, local area network. You're not going to use wireless for that. You go to some kind of gaming thing and you're hogging the wireless to everybody. No, that's not going to work. I don't need a freaking antenna with my computer's motherboard. I don't need glass in my computer's case. I don't need a system that is going to be a constant distraction when it's running. Oh yeah, I can have a light show. It can be nice and glowy and the spinny fans with the LEDs. Yeah, I might enjoy that for like a day. But you know what? I don't build computers to the tune of what they cost these days just to look at them. Believe it or not, there's some sanity left in this world because there's people like me still around who actually build computers to use them. So we don't need to have super fancy water cooling or any water cooling at all for that matter. Air does just fine with a decent third-party HSF that upgrades the fan to like 120, 140 millimeter. 140 mil fans, which I don't even think the newest Fractal cases are as good with the support as the Define R5 was. Yeah, 2020's monolith, baby. Maybe, you know, if I build another computer later in the decade, I'll rename this pandemic monolith or something like that. But, yeah. Well, I don't need that fancy crap. I don't need tempered glass making my computer way too heavy on one side because that's where the glass panel is compared to the metal or whatever. Better, you know, how about we stop trying to in any way rationalize this? I don't need glass in a computer case, period. I've had Windows cases with plexiglass that were fine enough. Why does there have to be glass now? Why do people have to go around on Reddit and be like, watch where you put your computer because if it's on a certain floor, it can break the glass in the window of your case. Don't have glass in a computer case. It's not a freaking fish tank or a terrarium. It's a computer. Who cares? Plexiglass was perfectly fine. Put something plastic in there that's see-through. Why do we have to worry about, oh, it's glass? Why? Because we've made it into this luxury thing like RGB lighting that, oh, you just have to have it just cuz? Why? I don't need glass in a computer case. Not now, not ever. I don't need fancy effing lights. Not now, not ever. Blue Darth Vader. Fractal Divine R5 with the blue power button has worked fine for over 5 years plus. It's an event if it ever blue screens, and a lot of times it's because of wobbly stuff with things like the graphics card. It has been very rare that I ever get a blue screen on this thing. It has run cool. It has run fine. It has ramped up when needed for games to run ESO maxed out nearly, and settled way down for web browsing to the point where it competes with laptops from about 10 years ago running like 30-something, 40-something watts maybe. And I can make it even better by getting rid of the remaining hard drives if I just go the SSD route instead. Replace the remaining hard drives with SSDs will drop the power down even more. Even though there's serial ATA SSDs. I was calling it solid state 2020, but the technology didn't become affordable enough for me to do that. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. But, yeah. Needed a bigger games drive anyways. And hard drives still have the edge when it comes to large storage that doesn't need to be fast. And they've even improved on the power too. They haven't sat there on their ass for the last 5 years while SSDs have taken over the show. No siree, Bob. Let's see here. Crazy, you know? What happened to computers? What happened to people that are into computers? What happened to all of this? Why did it get like this? Why are supposed techies telling me that the 5700X sucks? When in reality, it's probably going to be bargain of the year when the new processors come out. I don't know if I'd want to buy this now or later. 200 something bucks for a Ryzen 7. That is an iteration that makes things more efficient. So I get closer to that dream system I'm talking about that handles games very well and then ramps way the hell down when I'm not gaming. Obviously, #1 bestseller in processors desktops. Some people out there were using their thinking caps and thought of this too. Congratulations. So that's the predicament I'm up against. It's that things cost more than they should, but I'd really like to build a system later this year to correspond with 20 years since the original Silver Bullet. Still trying to work out the details. As of now, it would just be another fractal design Define R5, since this case has worked pretty well. I'm actually looking at the comparisons between the Define 7 Compact and Define R5. They both cost the same. Do I really want the newer design or not? Plus a Geekhouse dark mode, everything's blue. And I think the newer Fractal cases went back to white for the color of the LED. It is going to be, I mean, I'm past the point where I have a bazillion drives in my systems. So I think it just has to do with the internals and whatnot and what's available for mounting what drives I do want to have. So I'm not so sure I want to do everything over the network just yet. But working out the details of that for later this year is something, working out the details for that for later this year is something I'm going to take a look at when it comes to what my next system should be. And then, of course, in a couple of years, if things get better, maybe, you know, some newer Ryzen and whatnot will be more interesting, or maybe even Intel. But I can tell you the warping CPU issues of the Alder Lakes, and that socket is being used for one more generation. I think it's Raptor Lake that's next. That has me out of the Intel world for a while. Kind of sad because Intel QuickSync has worked really well in helping me make my YouTube videos. But if I really want to build another system, though, I'm just going to have to see how it all goes together. I don't know how AMD is for helping put together videos, but Intel QuickSync has been really nice for the efficiency and the video quality at certain file sizes. It's better than the NVIDIA NVENC, so I'm going to have to figure that part out. That's really where we're at now. So going into the summer for tech videos, I've made the decision that I'm not going to be held back by the air conditioning situation. So for now, we're just doing part-time air conditioning, so to speak. It's only summer-like on the weekends, so we can use the kitchen secondary AC. We'll do more streaming when we're using the primary AC, and you'll see the fan going like you did in previous years and things along those lines. So we'll do that. We'll do all this other stuff. But the tech videos aren't going to be as much of a thing in the summer because I'm not going to have another year, or probably ever again, a year where the air conditioner is droning off to the side during the summertime. That, you know, maybe people might have forgiven that in the 2000s, but it's the 2020s now. You just can't do that anymore. Speaking of air conditioning, this thing has gotten it down to 52%, though it's still 77 in here. So it's better at dehumidification. Unless I get more fans going to move the air around a little more, so the rest of the house has a chance to cool down. Either way. So yeah, the summer, probably move away from making as many videos, especially with what I'm seeing with these videos and the view counts. I just can't believe that people have gotten the way they've gotten. I mean, to the Logans and the DJs and the folks who get what my channel's about, it's cool and whatnot. It's just, let me actually look at some numbers related to this. And I realize there's a lot of stuff I'm not talking about right now that with the multimedia meta that's going on over on Twitter right now, Twitch has a shared ban feature that they're rolling out, which I think is going to cause more problems than it solves. But I'm going to save all that for like a late night nerd lounge or something along those lines. I don't really need to be doing some of the stuff. I really don't need to be doing that sort of thing. Let's see here. You can apply a stricter setting to hold even more potentially inappropriate comments for review. Well, we didn't get any of the I love you spammers yet and stuff along those lines. Let's see here. Geekhouse dark mode, the next generation. Let me just look at a few things here. Yeah, 40 views, 6 likes. Check where the stuff is coming from on there. Etc., etc., etc. No data is available just yet. All right. All right, we'll just do that then. So yeah, this summer, it's not going to be held back by air conditioning type stuff. We're just going to take a break from YouTube videos for a bit and work on other stuff like streams, game streams. Plenty of things to do. It's just a matter of when to do them, and a lot of it's going to be weather permitting. So that's the reason why things are going to be going in the direction that they're going, is because this whole thing with the air conditioner constantly droning just doesn't need to be a thing anymore. Plus, I mean, I can flip part-time if I really need to. Take that one out, put it back, put in the one in the kitchen for less background noise. But I want the days of air conditioner videos in the summer to be over. And with what's available nowadays, I think there's more than enough tools for them to, be that way. For the summer to go that way. So it'll be interesting to say the least. All right. That's where we're at. Geekhouse dark mode equals tech videos, and I really hope that some of you people, this has gotten the gears turning. I just can't believe tech videos have gotten like this. I keep up on Twitter. I see some of the bigger tech channels out there feeling like that they're nothing but a walking encyclopedia because they don't know if anybody wants to even watch anything if they're not answering questions and stuff like that. And of course, considering what happened earlier with this and stuff like that, just the whole idea of tech video people not realizing how they come across to others, apparently that problem is obviously still alive and well. I don't know. I'll get back to the comment sections of some of these other videos and see what other crap people are dealing with. It's good to know that I'm not the only one, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who's dealing with this garbage. It's just, when you're interested in something, you want to make YouTube videos about it, it is a persistent punch to the gut to spend hours making videos to have them not go anywhere because of something stupid happening on YouTube or the algorithms not being a fan of your channel because you don't fit the style of all those people doing Linus videos. It's a bizarre world. This 2020's YouTube thing. I mean, I know Twitch has its problems because we're at the tail end of the pandemic bubble for them. BA5 will slow down the decline. But eventually, yeah, what went up is going to go down. But on YouTube, everything's a bit more complicated and things are a bit more gray at this point, especially with some of the weird stuff that's going on. Like what happened with Sony Music Entertainment and V Westlife. And also with another similar scandal that I found out about today, where somebody making a warning video about not doing something potentially dangerous, their video is actually taken down for violating the harmful and dangerous acts policy, while the videos that they were responding to are still up that could actually be dangerous and actually harm people. So there's definitely a lot for YouTube to clean up on its end as well. I don't know. At least that's the update on things. Now I'm going to take it easy, figure out what I want to do, probably get to work on some videos the rest of the night. If I have the secondary air conditioner going in the kitchen, I think I can still get away with finishing up this whole lighting thing, getting this all buttoned up, and then we'll reconvene with tech videos in full force in autumn when things cool off, take a look at this computer thing, and we'll see how it all goes from there. As far as the wacky world of MultimediaJay goes, you could say, oh, well, what, you're going to end the season then? Not until we've made this decision about this computer. I think that 20 years, a 20-year anniversary system for having built my first system in November of 2002, I think that would be a good finale. we'll figure out the rest of it in the meantime. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.